So tonight was the go home show for WrestlePalooza, Monday Night Raw go home show for WrestlePalooza. Tonight we had number one John Cena come out here to kick off the show. We had a final face to face between AJ Lee, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. We also had the more subtle glimpse of Jey Uso and sort of what's going on with that, because they're starting to tease more of a sort of serious Jey Uso, almost tribal chief like. And we also had stuff like Bailey return and really cement the whole sort of, double split personality gimmick. We had Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky. To me, it feels like Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky. It's been like a month since I've seen Stephanie Vaquer once again here on WWE television, WWE programming. But this match, the match I assume is going to be fantastic at WrestlePalooza, but when you really take into account sort of the build that we've had for this match, it's been fucking atrocious, man. They haven't, built this match up, as to what it should have been. And that's kind of what you can say about the John Cena Brock Lesnar stuff, because I've been expecting sort of an explanation from either Cena or Lesnar as to why this match is even happening. And we had a segment with Lesnar this past Friday night where we didn't get that revealed. And tonight we had a John Cena promo. Now, let me say this. Let me start off by saying John Cena will never have a bad promo in his entire life. That's just something John Cena isn't capable of doing, right? Tonight he had a great promo here in Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts. And obviously, made mention of the fact of how he was... he played football here, college football here, and, he put the city over. And he mentioned how Brock Lesnar, he doesn't really understand why Lesnar is going against him. It would be smart if Cena, essentially ignored Brock Lesnar and played politics and tried to get out of this match. But that's just not how Cena is. He doesn't run away from a fight, etc., etc. You get the point here. John Cena, this is one of his final appearances here on Raw as well, because John Cena, I think, only has 6 dates, if I'm not mistaken. And we really haven't gotten the explanation for why this match is really taking place. Now, I know, and I think a lot of everybody else knows, that this match is solely taking place, number one, to take all of the attention away from AEW, and number two, just because of the two marquee names that are here. It's almost like they just brought out Brock Lesnar and said, we'll figure this out as the weeks and the days come together. It's almost like they just had zero sort of creative thoughts as far as what the actual story is going to be between Cena and Brock. I would have at least, wanted some sort of sense as to why this match is happening. There should be no actual way here that Cena loses this match against Brock Lesnar. I mean, they could have him, lose to Lesnar, but really, what good does that do? We also had AJ Lee and CM Punk confront face-to-face Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. They kind of really centered around this whole face-to-face aspect here, and at the end we had Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch stand tall over both AJ Lee and CM Punk. They brought up the fact of how AJ Lee, her neck has really been an issue for her thus this last 10 years that she's been away. So they subtly mentioned the neck there. So you may see something occur at WrestlePalooza where they, tease a neck injury or something along those lines. But like I said beforehand, I think, in all honesty, I think that AJ Lee is going to be the one that picks up the W there against Becky Lynch. Now, this is a theory, and this is sort of a story potential aspect that I've heard thrown around. And I kind of want to toss it to you guys and see what you guys think as far as this whole scenario goes. But what if you want to put so much heat on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, primarily Seth Rollins though, what would be the best way to do that? To curb stomp AJ Lee. Now, I don't know if really WWE in 2025 has the balls for this, or if they even, are tempted to do something like this. But if you want to have some sort of mega heat present for Seth Rollins going on towards the future, you could have this happen. You could have him also take out Punk, thus leading to a potential Rollins and CM Punk match down the line for the eventual World Heavyweight Championship. But like I said, with the heels standing tall here at the end, it almost kind of leaves you to believe that the baby faces are going to walk out with the win. I did enjoy how they did this though, because Seth Rollins mentioned the fact of how he will never put his hands on a woman, but he knows somebody who will, and he motions towards Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is almost kind of infuriated with this and almost irritated, and she's like wondering what's going on here. and it's almost like they have tension between both of them. And eventually Rollins pie faces CM Punk. Then CM Punk goes off to chase Rollins. Then out of nowhere, Becky Lynch comes in and hits the manhandle slam to AJ Lee. So I did like the whole sort of, I guess, ruse, as they like to say nowadays, between Becky and Rollins. And Bayley, we had Bayley return here. She helped out Lyra Valkyria after her match against the Judgment Day. And, you know, it really seems like they're going to start to push out the split personality aspect of Bayley's character, because they've been teasing this with vignettes in the past, and now we actually have it here firsthand, and we get to see what it's going to be about. Like, I fully expect one of these days she's gonna come out here as a full babyface, and then by the end be a heel, and then come back to being a babyface. It's almost like the three faces of Foley here, but except with Bayley. And we also had LA Knight, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. That whole sort of story is continuing. Now, one thing I will say about the whole LA Knight, Jey Uso scenario situation is the fact of, it seems like for Raw especially, and for SmackDown really, for WWE in general, they seem to be very formulaic with their main events, right? It feels like I've watched LA Knight versus a combination of either Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker for the last 10 weeks or so. Like, that's one thing I don't really care for, is the fact of they just trot out the same fucking main events. But one thing I did like though was the whole Jey Uso aspect, because there's subtle twists here where it looks like Jey Uso is slowly transitioning and slowly morphing into a tribal chief, right? He's bossing Jimmy around. He's telling Jimmy not to tag with LA Knight tonight. Jimmy tells him, I don't see an Ulafala around your neck. You can't give me directions. So he teams with LA Knight despite what Jey Uso wanted. So we get this match. It was Jimmy Uso and LA Knight against the Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Of course, the Bronze get the win over LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. They go after the attack after the match, and Jey Uso comes out here and makes the save for Jimmy Uso. In the background, you see LA Knight pick up a chair, almost debating whether or not he's going to hit Jey with it. Eventually, Jey catches on, and they have some sort of show of respect between Knight and Jey. But then after that, LA Knight BFTs Jey straight into the canvas, and that's his sort of receipt for last week. I think out of all of this whole scenario, LA Knight is probably the man that's actually going to go heel, or the man that I could see actually going heel, because Jey isn't going heel. Jimmy, he's not going heel as well with his brother. They just reunited the Usos. LA Knight theoretically has a good point for going heel. He doesn't trust Uso. He doesn't trust the Usos at this point. The only thing he wants at this point is to take the Vision down, to take Seth and the Bronze down. So if somebody like Jey is getting in his way, then theoretically that kind of leads you to believe that LA Knight might actually turn heel. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of Raw, the go-home episode of Raw for WrestlePalooza. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.